The story begins at a huge house in California that a married couple, Robin and Simon, are considering buying. A real estate agent shows them around the house, and we learn that Simon got a new job, which is why they want to move here, from Chicago where they currently live. Time passes. Simon and Robin are in IKEA shopping for things to furnish their new home. Suddenly a man approaches Simon and says that they went to school together. His name is Gordon, but Simon remembers him as Gordo. But they are interrupted by the store clerk to give an address for delivery. With no time to chit-chat, Robin asks for Gordo's number and tells him they will call and meet another time.
Nice to meet you, Robin.
The next day, after Simon leaves for work, Robin is in the shower when the doorbell rings. She goes to open it and finds no one there, except for a gift-wrapped bottle of wine and a letter. When Simon returns home from work, Robin shows him the letter, which reads, "Welcome home, Gordo." They have no idea how he got their address, but Robin is thankful for the gift. The next day, Robin goes to her new neighbor, Lucy. Lucy lets Robin hold her baby and asks if she wants one herself, so Robin tells that she was pregnant last year, but it didn't end well. Afterwards, Gordo unexpectedly shows up uninvited while Robin is cooking a meal and working as a freelance designer. Robin thanks him for the wine and says that Simon should have sent him a message. He brushes it off and gives her a list of important numbers for plumbers, electrician, maids, etc., as well as a glass cleaner. Gordo also expresses how much he loves this style of architecture, and then Robin invites him in to show him around. As they look around, Gordo notices a child's toy and asks if they have a child, to which Robin replies they only have a dog named Jangles at the moment, and then invites Gordo to stay for dinner. Later that night, they are having dinner and drinking wine. When Gordo asks Simon if he is in touch with Greg Pearson, they're high school buddies, but Simon says he hasn't talked to anyone since they graduated. In addition, Gordo remembers that Simon was class president, and Simon had a campaign called Simon Says, and whatever he said happened. Gordo is probably both happy and a little jealous of Simon's life now, that he has a beautiful wife, a beautiful house, and a successful job. When Simon inquires about Gordo's life, Gordo awkwardly replies that he joined the army after high school, but left later, and that a lot of good and bad things happened to him right after that. While cleaning up after dinner, Simon tells Robin that he felt uncomfortable with Gordo there. Simon thinks Gordo is odd and must be delusional to think they were friends in high school. So Robin assures him that it was only one dinner and they won't have to do it again. The next night, Simon and Robin are at a company event, and here we learn that the couple is still working on conceiving a child and wanting to start a happy family. Later, when they get home, they discover another gift from Gordo. A letter thanking them for dinner and some fish food. They then realize that the fish food is for the koi fish he got them for their empty pond. Robin wants to thank him, but Simon says that this is not normal. Simon also says that everyone in school used to call him Gordo the weirdo. Robin replies that Gordo is just socially awkward person, and seeing how Robin reacts, Simon jokes that she now has a new friend. The next morning, after a run, Robin is about to work on her laptop when she hears Jangles barking and sees Gordo at the window. Robin invites him in for a cup of tea. Inside the house, Gordo helps set up the smart TV, and Robin tells him that Simon will love him for this. Gordo then starts picking up garbage without being asked, and while in the kitchen, he sees the refrigerator where Simon has written "weirdo" next to his phone number and leaves offended. Later that evening, Simon and Robin have a little get-together with Simon's co-workers at their new house. Simon tells everyone about Gordo the weirdo, and they all make fun of him. But strangely, even though Gordo was upset after seeing what Simon wrote, he still invited them to dinner at his place. Time passes, they arrive at Gordo's place, and when they enter, they see a huge, beautiful house, and they are shocked that he lives in such an extravagant place. Gordo greets them at the door, and Simon hands him a bottle of wine. As they go inside, they ask if the other couple is coming, and Gordo says they all canceled at the last minute. Curious, Simon asks if Gordo is married, to which he replies no. Gordo then gets a phone call, which seems to be an emergency, and says he will only be gone for 10 minutes. After leaving them alone in his house, Simon tells Robin that Gordo is obsessed with her, which is why he does all these nice things. While they are snooping around, they see Gordo pull into the driveway and run downstairs. They greet him as if nothing had happened, and Simon asks him what kind of work he does to be able to afford a house like this. Gordo tells them that he lied about an urgent work call and that it was actually his ex-wife he was talking to. He tells them that she left with their 2 kids, and mentions that the house is actually her family home, and that she holds all the cards right now, so he has to do whatever she says. Hearing this, Robin feels bad, but Simon doesn't care. He forces Robin to wait in the car, giving him and Gordo a few minutes alone. Here, Simon rudely tells Gordo to stop visiting them and to take some time to sort out his current situation.
Just gotta rip off the band-aid.
Now back home, they go to bed thinking it is all over, but Robin feels something is not right. Next in the morning, Robin finds that the koi fish are all dead. To make matters worse, her dog Jangles is gone. Simon quickly drives to Gordo's house, and to his surprise finds a couple living there who have no idea who Gordon is. When the police are called, one of the officers tells Simon that Gordo used to be a driver for the man who owns the house and had access to the garage. Simon wants their dog back, and the police tell him they can find out where he lives, but without evidence, they can't get a warrant to search the place. The next morning, Robin is alone in the house when she hears the sound of running water. Her tap has been turned on, and she becomes paranoid. She explains the situation to Lucy, and how she's been having trouble sleeping lately, and Lucy tells her to stay a while. While Robin is in the bathroom, she looks inside the cabinet and finds some sleeping pills, which she steals some of them. Later, that night, Simon is fast asleep, but Robin is having trouble sleeping, so she goes into another room and takes some sleeping pills she has stashed away. When she going back, she hears noise in the hallway. She slowly goes to check it out, and then this happens. Yeah, her dog, Jangles, surprises her at the window. Seeing her dog's sudden reappearance, Simon is convinced that this is Gordo's doing, but Robin is still not 100% convinced. The next morning, Robin collects the mail and notices a letter from Gordo. In the letter, he apologizes for lying and says that he would be ashamed to show them where he really lives. He says that he will leave them alone as they asked, and he also mentions that he forgives Simon. He also tells Simon specifically that he's willing to let bygones be bygones and only had good intentions for them. When Robin asks Simon what bygones be bygones means, Simon replies that Gordo is just an unstable man and has no idea what he is talking about. The next morning, while Robin is taking a shower, she sees someone walking into the bathroom. Robin wakes up in horror when it turns out that she just had a nightmare. Meanwhile, Simon meeting with his bosses to discuss a possible promotion. He is told that his only competition is his co-worker Danny McDonald. Back at home, Robin is chopping vegetables when she hears a door closing. Startled, she spills her drink and goes to investigate. As she walks to the source of the sound, she suddenly has a panic attack and collapses. The next morning, Robin wakes up in her bed. She goes to the kitchen and sees Simon sitting there, and he tells her that when he came home last night, he found her passed out. Robin then tells Simon that she is scared and wants Simon to call Gordo and just apologize to him to make things right. However, Simon does not listen and blames everything on the pills she took without him knowing. When she asks him again what "let bygones be bygones" means, Simon gets emotional and replies that he just wants her to move on with her life and stop thinking about Gordo.
Is there something that you want to tell me?
A month later, Simon and Robin have put their past with Gordo behind them and are starting to live a normal, happy family life. Until one day, Robin surprised Simon with a positive pregnancy test. More time passes, and Robin, now visibly pregnant, is in a store with Lucy when they spot Gordo staring at them through the window. Afterwards, Robin is now in her house with family and friends receiving gifts for her soon-to-be-born child. She walks with Simon's sister Joanna and asks her if she knew anything about Gordo. To her surprise, Joanna tells her that Gordo was molested by an older student, was bullied, and then moved to another school. She tells her to ask Simon more about it, as Simon and his friend Greg Pearson reported the incident. After which, Gordo was bullied by all the students for allegedly being gay. As usual, Simon goes to work the next day, and Robin opens his file cabinet. She discovers that Simon has run background checks on Danny McDonald and Gordo, who has spent his life in and out of prison, and has several charges against him, including burglary. She then looks up Greg's name online and sees that he's a chiropractor. She makes an appointment to see him and starts to ask him about what happened between Simon and Gordo. Greg becomes distressed and says that Simon made up the whole molestation story because he was a bully. It ruined Gordo's life, and Simon had a chance to make everything right by telling the truth, but he never did. As a result of the false report, Gordo's father thought Gordo was gay and tried to burn him alive, leading to his arrest for attempted murder and poor Gordo being sent to military school. Back in the house, Simon talks to his colleague about the new potential promotion, and finds out that the other candidate is being investigated. Robin then confronts Simon about what Greg just told her the truth, but Simon denies it. He plays it off like it was just little incident, telling her that he is not going to apologize for something that happened 20 years ago, and that Gordo needs to man up and let it go. Simon also rants about Robin getting bullied in school when she slaps him, telling him that he was a bully in school and still a bully now. In the end, Robin tells him that he needs to apologize to Gordo to make it right, if not for Gordo's sake, then for hers. Later, Simon finds Gordo at a bar where he works. After Gordo is done, Simon confronts him in the parking lot and apologizes. But Gordo learns that his apology is not sincere. Gordo doesn't accept his apology and tells him it's too late for that now. This is where Simon's true colors show as he gets aggressive and tries to make Gordo accept his apology by kicking him to the ground and calling him a loser.
It's too late for you, Gordo. I will destroy you. If you ever come near me or my family again.
He also threatens him to leave his family alone, or he will make his life hell. When Simon gets home, he lies to Robin that Gordo really appreciates the apology. He hugs her and tells her that now it's finally over. A few days pass, and Simon has his co-workers over to celebrate his new promotion. While he is giving a speech, a stone flies through the window and shatters it. Simon goes outside to check, right when a man runs out of the shadows and pushes him. Simon manages to catch him and knock him to the ground. It wasn't Gordo after all. It was Danny McDonald, the other candidate for the promotion. Danny accuses Simon of cheating him out of the job promotion by sending a misleading email to his bosses, saying that he knew that people at Danny's previous company had found him inadequate. Suddenly, Robin felt contractions in her womb and rushed to the hospital where she gives birth to a baby boy. While in the hospital, Simon's colleague calls him and tells him he needs to clear out his office because the boss has found out that Simon fabricated evidence against Danny McDonald. Simon tells his wife he is going home to fix the window and check on her dog. However, things get even worse when Robin tells him that she does not want to go back to the house with him, essentially telling him she wants to break up. After all the crazy things that happened to Simon, he comes home to only find a big gift box waiting for him on the porch. A letter says, "A gift," and there is a smiley face on it. Meanwhile at the hospital, Gordo walks into Robin's room with a sling on his arm. Simon opens the gift and finds a baby carrier with 3 numbered boxes inside. He opens number 1 and finds a key to his own house, showing how Gordo has been getting in and around their house. Number 2 contains a tape that recorded Simon mocking Gordo when he left them to take his phone call. In hospital, Robin wakes up and sees Gordo standing there. He congratulates her and asks if it is a boy or a girl. Meanwhile, Simon opens box number 3 that contains recorded footage, showing Simon and Robin having dinner and sleeping. Then there's footage of Robin when she passed out, followed by Gordo wearing a monkey mask to spite Simon since he has a phobia of monkeys, and pulling Robin onto the bed, stroking her and waving to the camera. But the footage cut off, leaving Simon to think Gordo raped Robin. Back to Gordo. With his eye bandaged and his arm in a sling, he tells Robin that Simon caused his injuries. After witnessing all of this, Simon rushes to the hospital and tries to call Robin, but there is no answer. When he arrives at the hospital, he finds that Robin is not in the room she was in before. He then spots Gordo getting into an elevator, but is unable to catch him. As he frantically searches everywhere for him and heads outside, his phone rings. It turns out to be Gordo calling Simon to taunt him for refusing to confirm whether or not he raped Robin and fathered the baby, just as Simon refused to come clean about the molestation story years before. He tells Simon to check the baby's eyes because the eyes never lie. In a panic, Simon runs back to find the baby to get a better look at his eyes, but it still doesn't let him know whether or not he is his child or Gordo's. Robin holds the baby and looks at Simon with displeasure. Simon slumps against the wall and quietly weeps, knowing his whole life is now ruined. Satisfied with his revenge, Gordo the weirdo walks away, tossing away the fake sling from his arm.